14th Amendment, Section 3. New Mexico official who participated in January 6th riot, again, not a riot, an insurrection. I don't know why the Washington Post is so hell-bent on both sidesing this thing. Removed from office. A New Mexico judge ruled Tuesday that Couy Griffin, a county commissioner and co-founder of Cowboys for Trump, is disqualified to continue serving in office because of his role in the January 6, 2021 insurrection against the U.S. Capitol in Washington. Plaintiffs in the case argued that Griffin's presence among the rioters, insurrectionists, that day disqualified him from serving under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which prohibits anyone from holding federal or state office who took an oath to support the Constitution and then, quote, engaged in an insurrection or rebellion or gave, quote, aid or comfort. Now, the aid or comfort, that is a really important line. Josh Hawley gave both aid and comfort to insurrectionists. Ted Cruz gave both aid and comfort to insurrectionists. Donald fucking Trump, of course, gave aid and comfort again to insurrectionists. And finally, nearly 2 years later, somebody in this country had the balls to read the Constitution and actually enforce it against someone. This is when I tell you the Constitution is fake. It doesn't exist. It's made up. The only thing that matters is enforcement. If there is no enforcement, then the Constitution is a list of suggestions. It's not like the laws of physics, right? But finally, the Constitution is being acknowledged. The decision marks the first time since 1869 that a court has disqualified a public official under the provision, and the first time that any court has ruled that the events of January 6th were an insurrection. This is an extremely, extremely important precedent. Like, I need you to really understand how important this precedent is. It is now on the books that January 6th was an insurrection against the United States of America, and it is now on the books that somebody has been removed from office because they engaged in an insurrection against the United States of America. That is a fucking huge deal. Now, again, this is just one random fuckface. We gotta see, are they going to apply this law to Donald Trump? Ted Cruz? Josh Hawley? According to Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, which represented New Mexico residents in the case, District Court Judge Francis Matthew agreed that Griffin's actions, though nonviolent, met the definition of disqualifying behavior. In March, Griffin, an Otero County commissioner, was found guilty of a misdemeanor charge of illegally entering or remaining on restricted grounds by a federal judge. Griffin is one of the founders of the group called Cowboys for Trump, and a fervent supporter of the former president. Griffin had claimed he was a victim of political persecution, although his judge in March, U.S. District Judge Trevor N. McFadden, was appointed by Trump in 2017. Among the evidence used to convict Griffin at the trial was video recorded by a videographer Griffin brought with him to Washington. Again, I really need you to understand just how delusional these people were. They live streamed themselves and got evidence of themselves breaking extremely, like, you don't want to break these laws. Why did they do that? Why would anyone take selfies as they're desecrating the Capitol and attempting to overthrow the country and install a dictator? Because they wanted the credit in the post-America world. They wanted to see Trump as king, and when Trump was king, they wanted to show their selfies to people. Look, I helped install Trump as king. That's why they filmed themselves committing these crimes. That video showed Griffin climbing over a stone wall that marked the Capitol security perimeter and spending more than an hour on the front railing of the inaugural stage with a bullhorn leading the crowd below in prayer. Griffin crossed over 3 walls, McFadden wrote in March. All of this would suggest to a normal person that perhaps you should not be entering the area. In 2018, Griffin was elected county commissioner with 65% of the vote, easily defeating a Democratic challenger. Matthew, the judge in New Mexico, held a 2-day bench trial on the case last month and gave both sides additional time to submit written closing arguments. Non-violent members of the mob, including Griffin, camouflaged violent members of the mob, contributed to law enforcement being overwhelmed by a, quote, sea of potential threats. Attorneys for the plaintiffs wrote in a closing statement, Griffin, quote, Griffin did more than just join the mob. He incited, encouraged, and helped normalize the mob's violence on January 6th. If the Cowboy for Trump did this, what about Trump? What about Mo Brooks? What about all these other fucking scumbags that gave speeches that day? What about the people that objected to the election results? Which is the fundamental core tenet of these conspiracy theories, that the election was blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't that be giving aid and comfort to those engaging in an insurrection? It's normalizing and mainstreaming their conspiracy theories. If the entirety of the Republican Party said, no, Trump is wrong, and all of the Republican senators and all of the Republican House members were like, okay, let's just certify the election results, that'd be a different story. But you have most Republicans in the House and the Senate who objected to the election results. They have given aid and comfort to people engaging in an insurrection and therefore are disqualified from office. Griffin argued in a writing closing statement that those seeking to remove him from public office, quote, missed their mark and failed to prove the assault on the U.S. Capitol on Jan 6 was an insurrection, according to the Albuquerque Journal. Well, apparently they're incorrect. So this is a big, big deal. Now, again, this is some random fuckface. So keep that in mind. But under this exact ruling, I would say under this exact ruling, the exact logic laid out in this ruling, 2/3 of elected Republicans to the U.S. Congress should immediately be forced to leave office. Again, most Republicans in the House objected to the election results. A very good chunk of Republicans in the Senate objected to the election results. Even after the insurrection attempt. I need you to understand, motherfuckers went to the Capitol building. Some of them got shot and killed. Some of them died. They beat the fuck out of cops. They shat in offices. They destroyed chambers of Congress. And after that, the Republicans still voted in favor of their conspiracy theories. Now, I would go a step further. And I know that this is getting a little more out there. Right? This is getting a little more like I am just saying what everything I've said up until this point is legally factual. Feel free to debate me. You would lose. But at this point, this is my own personal opinion. Cori Bush, the week after January 6th, 2021, introduced a resolution to invoke Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Nancy Pelosi and other House and Senate Democratic leadership were not on board. Now, answer me this. Why would the leader of the Democratic Party in the House and the Senate be against an easy way to get rid of all of their opposition? I would go as far as to say Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Democratic leadership, Steny Hoyer, etc. I would say that they also gave aid and comfort to those engaging in an insurrection by not holding them accountable. So, but that's my own opinion. That's going to be harder to prove in a court of law. But everything else I said has already been proved in a court of law, as I just laid out. So under this, Donald Trump is immediately disqualified from running for 2024. And 2/3 of the Republican Party in Congress should also immediately be removed from office. So, there you go. Big news. But is that going to happen?